Oh, Thursday. No, it's not Thursday. It's Wednesday. Good start. Welcome along. It's almost 6 o'clock. We're going to go live tonight because I think there's a lot to talk about. It's been a busy day. It's been a busy day in the world of Fulham. Following on from last night's brief live stream outside Plough Lane, where Cardiff City won by a goal to nil in the last minute of the game. Fulham did tweet on 6 o'clock. That's why I thought I'd go live just before 6. And it's just nothing important. Welcome. This is actually a bit of a discussion stream. A lot has happened this afternoon. Fixtures and transfer news. There's a bit on Rodrigo Muniz today. There's loads to talk about. Good to see everyone in the stream. Thank you very much for joining. It is 6 o'clock on this Thursday. Well, I keep saying Thursday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and we've got 12 days to go. The 12 days left of silly season. What will Tony Khan bring to me and all the Fulham fans? Tony and Shahid, I believe, are in London, which is cool. Look, what I will say is, and I've just seen your comment, Shaden, those Sky Sport updates, which I keep an eye on, let's just say, are very slow. They're not quite up to date. I would say I've lost myself here. Here we go. They're about 12 to 24 hours behind what I sort of believe is like real time, right? So, yes, I can understand putting out tweets and people say, well, we knew that. I'm just reporting what's been out there, and obviously Sky are very credible. So, yeah, that's the way of the world. Like I say, with every live stream, you guys run the conversation. You put in your questions, you put in your comments, and we'll go from there. I'm sort of seeing this as let's talk about Manchester United at the weekend game. Let's talk about the window. Let's talk about Rodrigo Muniz in a little bit more detail, and anything else and everything else that wants to be asked, that people want to ask. The Kevin situation, it's still sort of, I don't really know. And obviously Fulham need to make some signings in these last 12 days. Because we can talk about the squad that Fulham have, and there are gaps in there for sure. And we hear from Marco Silva in 2 days' time. This is it now. You hit the first game, and suddenly the second game comes along really, really quickly, and then it'll be Chelsea in just a week's time, or just over a week's time. And I've already booked my now plane and flight to Newcastle. Thank you very much to the Premier League gods for giving us a 3 o'clock against Newcastle on a Saturday. So I'm flying up on the Friday and then flying back on the Saturday night, probably get home in time for match of the day, which if I'm lucky and it all goes to plan. If not, we'll watch it on the Sunday morning. But fantastic to I've never flew to Newcastle before, and I've heard Fulham fans have done it in previous years, and it's been good fun. So looking forward to flying. I was thinking about booking Bournemouth as well today, but the trains haven't come on sale. The reason I booked Newcastle is because there are planned engineering works that weekend. Last season, for anyone who's looking to go up to Newcastle, I really would advise you, if you can, if it doesn't get in the way of these planned engineering works, go to Sheffield and then Sheffield to Newcastle. 1, it's cheaper. 2, it takes just the same amount of time. And 3, it's just a little bit easier. I definitely enjoyed doing that last season, especially after that 2-1 win as well. Let's go through some of the comments. We have a few to answer, and then we'll get a conversation going. If you could pick us to sign 3 players this window, who are you picking? That's a tricky one to start because things have sort of changed since we last spoke on live stream. I still kind of want Kevin just because he seems intriguing, I suppose. And then Mihajlo Ivanovic, or some sort of young striker as a third striker, and a number 8 who could do a good job for Fulham, who's an upgrade on what we already have in addition to the squad. I can't come up with a name at this present moment in time. I was about to say Dewsbury Hall. I just realised he plays for Everton. Happy Thursday. Yeah, I don't know what day it is sometimes. I'm looking forward to this window closing. I won't lie to you. I'm doing good. I think I'm looking forward to tomorrow, because I'm going to see the Pride of South London, the famous Palace boys, with my cousin to watch Palace in their Conference League game, not Europa League. And then Friday's press conference. Saturday's not the game. Saturday's a lot of football though. And then Sunday is the game. And then we just go again for next week. Don't wish the days away. Less time for Tony to do deals. But we'd have tomorrow will be 11 days. Tomorrow will be 11 days. Yes, the early bird deal is now £5 for a pint in the ground, as the club put up earlier today as well. Fab said we were back in talks for Kevin days ago. Sky Sports are so slow. I believe there was a meeting with Kevin and his representative. With Fulham and Kevin's representatives yesterday, as this comment says. Do I know the outcome of that? No, I don't. I'm trying to find out, but I don't know it. Any names you've heard recently that aren't in the media yet? No, not yet. Anything I tweet, would be hopefully something that is fairly concrete. Any rumours of another striker? Fear Muniz and Rao won't be enough. Look, and that's obviously a question to ask Marco Silva on. It seems as if now Rodrigo is going to stay. Fantastic, great news. I couldn't be happier. The question is, if one of those gets injured and is out for 2, 3, 4 weeks or more, you've got one striker on the books. Sure, that's what I'm saying. We surely must be looking for a third striker, regardless of what happens with Rodrigo, which now looks very, very likely. He's not only going to stay, but sign a new contract. And that's the rumour coming today from Miguel Delaney. And look, Fulham, he's set to sign a new contract, which is very exciting. And something that Fulham have been looking to do all summer. We were looking to tie him down earlier in the summer. There may have been a contract on the table, as Peter Utz said on the Fulhamish podcast a week ago. Maybe those terms were not favourable. And look, the whole thing is, it's a game of cat and mouse, isn't it? It's a game of agent tries to get the best deal for his client, wherever that be, whether that be at Fulham, whether that be at Atalanta. Fulham have gone, we can't sell you. We don't want to sell you. We're not selling you. He's gone, okay, well, I scored at the weekend and the fans love me, so I'm okay. I'm fairly happy. This is just like a timeline of opinion, not really like what's going on. And then the club have already gone, okay, so, we've rejected 3 bids now from Atalanta. You're going to stay here. Do you want a better contract? Do you want to sign a new contract? And he'll probably go, well, if you offer me favourable terms that sound exciting, then yeah, let's do a deal. And I'm happy here, and I'm happy playing under you. And I'm happy with the Fulham fans, and the Fulham fans are happy with me. That's what I believe is sort of the situation with Rodrigo Muniz at the moment. Do I think he's going to sign a new contract before the end of the window? Maybe. Do you think he'll sign a new contract before the end of the year? Definitely. I mean, in terms of definitely being based on the reports that he is set to sign a new contract, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like in between the international break of after Chelsea and before Leeds. And yeah, we'll move on to the other comments. I really believe we're not getting any players because Marco isn't renewing. The same old argument is coming up, which is interesting. What players want to come in knowing the coach won't be there next year? Marco is also a big factor when convincing players. Yeah, and that's it's a point that I've thought about all summer. The situation is this, right? If you think about it like this, just take every season as one individual season, and if Marco's he wants to get a player in, he will essentially call that player and say, "This is your role in the team. You'll be playing Premier League football." Because will agents get in players' ears and go, well, your manager's contract situation is a bit up in the air? I don't necessarily think that's like a massive factor. I think that the situation is like you just sort of concentrate on the here and now. And if Marco Silva's happy, and if those players can then perform and the team can then perform on the pitch, and it proves to be a fruitful season where we're going to be achieving big things, whilst within that season, Fulham are going to do their best to tie down Marco Silva to a new contract. And it's all a bit of a game of cat and mouse, because are the board going to give Marco what he wants so he's happy about the team, so then he's more tempted to sign a contract? And then, oh God, I've completely got lost in this maze of what this game is. But essentially, I see your point. but he'll be focusing on, like, his concentration is on Fulham Football Club for this season, i.e. just this season, get the players in, have a good season, then we'll see what happens from there. I just don't necessarily think that players like, let's just say Kevin or Sterling or whoever's been linked are going to go, oh, he's got 1 year left in his contract, I might not be playing under him. Because he may just say, if you, I just don't know. There's no point like going over this point over and over again. Love seeing the clip of your face when Muniz scored. Looks slightly psychotic, I think, but 1-1 and a little yelp from myself and Isabel. Very, very fun times. It was good to be back in the press box. We saw that reaction of yours at Brighton. Couldn't help. Yeah, look, again, look, I'm not going to just sort of, when you score a last minute winner, you're not going to just sit on your hands, are you? You're going to definitely. I wasn't over the top because it's literally, as close as this wall that you can't see is to me. There was a Brighton fan right there, so I can't be like getting in his face, or I just wouldn't be professional. Prediction for United, Chelsea, and Leeds. How many points are we getting? Oh my word, can't even get through the day. Right, United 1-1 at home. Chelsea, it's tough. Chelsea. I don't like saying their name. I think 0-0. I'm encouraged by our defensive performance against Brighton. And Leeds 2-1 Fulham, and that's just based off like the here and now. That can change based off injuries and the game on Sunday. Do you think we sign Kevin or another winger? If another winger, which one? Look, the Kevin thing is I expect to see some sort of update from one of the big guns over Kevin in the next 24 to 48 hours. We need some more clarity on that situation. What was the conclusion of that meeting? Is that valuation going to be met? Are Fulham happy to pay that price? He's agreed personal terms, so it's very much like a case of once that fee is agreed, then we can get moving with the deal. Shakhtar play tomorrow night. So is it all dependent on, if they're out of Europe, then they'll be like, oh, okay, then maybe he'll be more willing to go and we can maybe sanction a deal. Or if Shakhtar get through in the Conference League, is it Conference or Europa? Whatever. Or maybe it's Conference because they lost, didn't they? Then maybe it would be a case of, well, we're in the Conference League now, we're in the group stages, we need him, therefore, this is our price. What's just been tweeted here? Okay. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. I think Fulham need two wingers, maybe one on the left, one on the right. Definitely one on the left. As Iwobi's the only one right now. Villa interested in Nicholas Jackson. That's been news for a while. Again, Sky a little bit slower off the blocks, but they've had a good reputation for many years. Hard tackle today, reporting Mitchell open to Fulham return, but no contact yet. Where does this info emanate from? I think the Mitrovic situation, I can't believe we're still talking about it. I think it's just sort of probably internal discussions going, well, we could do it, but a lot needs to happen before that even happens. Like, there are reports that his contract at, where is he? Al Hilal needs to be terminated, and then he becomes essentially a free agent. All of that happening in the space of 12 days. And I think that the profile of a striker we are now going to go for is probably a much younger striker, maybe like the Rodrigo Muniz that first came to Fulham, someone who can be the next one coming through, but still has an element of first team experience, so that they're not rabbit in headlights when it comes to maybe getting on the pitch. But yeah, the Mitro thing is sort of just, I think Ben Jacob, who's a very good journalist, mentioned it a couple of days ago. There's too much to happen, and I'd be very surprised if that happens, especially at this stage. Do you know what Baby Mitro is like? I mean, from what I've seen, he's the third choice, but I don't know if there's potential there. I don't know who you're referring to. Is it the guy last night? Because I haven't read up on him because I was out, so I can't quite answer that question at this moment in time. Oh, here we go again. Mitrovic has been thrown into the mix recently. Maybe we see the reunion we all wanted, so we can build that statue. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. Not so rain on all parades. I was worried to get Muniz on my shirt. I know he's going to stay. I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'd wait maybe until the weekend, but I think, yeah, in terms of, if you're playing at United, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine in doing that. What's going on with Kev? Don't know. Don't know, and very keen to find out. Tonight there's a game on tonight. I'll watch that, but keep a close eye on what else is going on in the Fulham space. Like I say, Shahi Khan, Tony Khan here. They can sign off on the deals. It's that sort of their presence will try and put pressure on the board, or Marco will sort of use that as putting pressure on them to try and get things done. 12 days to go. There's a lot to do. Looking forward to hearing from Marco on Friday. I'm sure he'll have enough to say. Have you heard any other source on Muniz new contract? Delaney can be dodgy. Look, any journalist is, as we all know, is not always 100% correct, or at least 100% giving out news that goes down well. But there are enough people reporting on the Muniz new contract now, and from my end, I'm hearing positive things about that as well. So I'm pretty certain on that. I have been all summer, to be fair. I have been all summer, and then obviously Atalanta came in. It was quite aggressive. That was a stumbling block. Champions League football. You know the story. Really feel for Silva. Can't believe he hasn't at least a couple of players in. Going to be difficult to bed new players in so late. Agree. This is a comment that feels like it's come up in every single live stream so far, and what I agree with it. What I will say is that there won't be any added frustration, or there might not be any added frustration from Marco Silva this weekend ahead of the press conference, because, and I can't believe I'm even sort of like saying this as like well, don't worry about it, because it's still a concern, is the fact that he's basically said he doesn't expect anyone through the door before Brighton, which obviously didn't happen, and before Man United. That doesn't give the board any leeway to be like, oh, okay, well then we got a week off. It's a case of his expectations were pre-Brighton that nobody would come through the door before Man United. It's basically about from that Sunday to that Saturday, where we also have Bristol City in the middle of it, where there'll be another press conference pre-match as well, which I'm looking forward to. Will there be movement then? And obviously then you've got the win. I actually still don't know what deadline day is. If someone could put it in the comments, is it the 1st or is it the 31st? I'm guessing it's the 1st. That's the Monday. 31st is the Sunday. I believe. Excited to spend our entire budget on an untested one-name Brazilian from Shakhtar. That's either Europe or Championship. I'm guessing Europe or Championship level. The Kevin thing is, again, up in the air. Still waiting to hear on it. It does worry me. We have all these interesting rumours, which I'm fine about, because there's a strong likelihood we get 2 wingers, a striker, but absolutely no 8 rumours. That is the worry for me, that the midfield needs topping up for sure. I mean, Lukic, fantastic player. Berger, fantastic player. I love TC. Bring him off the bench, and obviously he did very well. Josh King can sort of play in that position, but he's seen as the 10 this season. Pereira can play in that position as well, but he might not be here by the end of the window. And Harrison Reed is a player, I thought we were going to move on, but might not necessarily move on. So we do need a midfielder, for sure. There is a rumour about Sterling. That rumour is going to rumble on, and if it's unlikely to do it at this stage, it's not even worth getting sort of excited about it. Not that anyone. Well, I wasn't. I was okay about the whole Sterling situation. We'll see. We've been linked with Kevin, Sterling, and Nelson. Would it be out of the question to see us sign all 3? No chance we sign all 3, because we don't need all 3. And if you think about it, Nelson and Sterling would be loans, and that would be 2 domestic loans gone. I believe that would sort of limit what we could do elsewhere in the market. We don't need 3 wingers. We'd have to let go of, and even if Godo went, we wouldn't need 3 in, because that would be too congested. I think 2 is the good amount. But it's just, again, the Nelson thing's gone quiet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it pops up again. Kevin's the number 1 choice, I believe, and then Sterling and Nelson are waiting in the wings as sort of second, third option, albeit we could get 2 of those 3 in. But I don't necessarily. I still think there'll be a new name that comes up at some point, knowing what Fulham are like. If we get the players in and finish in a European spot, I cannot see Marco not wanting to take the players into Europe. Of course, but will we get Europe? And what will help Fulham get Europe is upgrading the squad, because again, like on Saturday, for as much as the point was fantastic, the performance was a little bit stale at times in the game. I think we created a fair bit, but it wasn't. I didn't come away thinking, "Oh God, well that's it. We're definitely getting Europe this season." There's a lot of improvement needed, and that comes from the outside as well as the inside. After seeing all the teams play over the weekend, we look like one of the worst in the league. Slow build up and no goal threat. I wouldn't say one of the worst. I'd say we just look like nothing's really changed. Because even when we had no goal threat last season in games, we'd still end up scoring a lot of goals. Like in a lot of games last season, we'd end up nicking a goal. We obviously did it on Saturday, which is fantastic. But Brentford, Wolves, West Ham, terrible. Burnley, obviously, they all looked okay, but they lost 3-0 to Burnley. I think it's hard to make sweeping judgments on match day one. I think this weekend of fixtures, you're going to get a really good idea of where teams are at. You know, West Ham hosting Chelsea on the Friday night football is huge. Sunderland playing Burnley, so two of those promoted teams playing each other. Obviously, Fulham v United. Everton versus Brighton. Let's see how Everton respond after a really poor performance on Monday. Let's see how Leeds get on away from home. Brentford hosting Villa. There's loads of fixtures to get your teams sunk into or stuck into, whatever. I'm looking forward to that immensely. I think that's going to be very exciting. Do you think Muniz will start against United? I get the fact he's like an impact sub, but I think he does need to start. And then that sort of makes me worry about Raul Jimenez, because I can't remember the last time Raul Jimenez came off the bench and made a massive impact. Was it when he came off? Did he come off the bench against Villa and score in a 3-1 defeat? Because I was already left the ground by then. We were 3-0 down. But that was a couple of years ago. If they click going forward, it could be a difficult game. It could be, and it will be a difficult game. I still think Fulham at home will put them under a bit of pressure, and I think it'll be a good game of football. Godo going out on loan or selling? I'm not sure. Not sure. It was it's interesting how that sort of surfaced, but there was no clarification over whether it was a loan or a permanent, which is obviously annoying. Either one wouldn't shock me, and the reason I say that is because Godo's at an age now where he needs a bit of stability in his career, but also Championship minutes, then coming back. Like, is he going to actually break through into the first team? I think it would. I can't speak. I think it would be a permanent at this stage. That's just a guess. Are we actually going to sign anyone? And if not, who's to blame? We will sign people. Don't worry about it. I would wait. I got a Stansford shirt on the 28th of August. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I've never done that before, actually, get a shirt with a name on it, because when I was younger and I got names on the back, it was always a player that was solid. I remember my friend got Ollie Norwood on the season he was on loan, which isn't fair enough. He spoke about it to myself. He said that they're in talks, but nothing close at this stage. But I'd like to think that at some point this year we're going to sign Wilson to a new deal. Goodness me, need some water. I'll read this comment. What's the name you'd like us to be linked with come deadline day? Someone who's not been linked with us yet, but could see happening. I mean, Douglas Luiz obviously was a great option. I know he's been linked with us before, but he's going to Nottingham Forest. It's really, you know what? I'm trying to think of a midfielder, but right now I really struggle to sort of pick out individual names. It's only until they're linked, and it's only until I see how they could work in the team that I go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I could see that happening. It's difficult to pinpoint a midfielder right now that, because obviously the cost inflation and like what sort of markets are we going to go in for? Is Richard Rios, who's a player, by the way, I've never seen play, but has been linked with Fulham a fair bit of time. If Richard Rios is still about, I would like to go in for him, because he just looks and sounds very promising. Pablo Mahi as well would be quite an interesting option. Iwobi created numerous chances against Brighton. Fulham fans just pick random players to hate. Look, tell me the chances he created, and in fact, we'll go on Iwobi's. Look, I'm not here to bash a player, but I did think that Iwobi lacked a little bit at the weekend. Let me go on his performance data against Brighton, if I can find it anywhere. Let me just go on here. Bear with me. Iwobi, total shots 1, chances created 3. Listen, fair play. But they were sort of Again, when the ball came out on the left-hand side, we were quite reluctant to cross. I think one cross came in, which fell to Wilson at the back post and headed over. And then he was off the pitch by the time the ball came in for Kenny Tete. Again, was a foul. I actually just thought that Iwobi lacked a little bit of razzmatazz. And I think that's partly due. I don't necessarily think that's just down to him performing badly, because I don't think he had a bad game. I just think he had an ineffective game. And what really helps with Alex Iwobi is when he's got Robinson on the left-hand side, linking up with him. Robinson makes that overlapping run. He'll either cross it or turn back to find Iwobi, who then can find the man in the pocket. Find the man in the pocket, and whether it be Smith Rowe or King, and then we go from there. And Iwobi obviously can go for goal. But yeah, there were just a couple of opportunities where he could have crossed it and didn't cross. And overall, Fulham, I think, Fulham overall just didn't create an awful lot. And I think that obviously I'm not hating on Iwobi. I just thought that I'm sure on Saturday he could put in a better performance if he starts. Then I'm expecting him to put a better performance in. Only one game into the season. Iwobi had an outstanding season last season as well. And looking forward to seeing what he's got to offer on Sunday. Sky Sports said first today. I don't know what that's relating to, because I'm so far behind on the comments. But 1st of September. God, I'm really far behind. That was like 10 minutes ago. Cheers. Thank you. I've heard Silva is having showdown talks tomorrow and could walk if he gets no assurances. A random comment from GP, who I'm sure is a lovely person. I just don't believe that is Solomon true. He might be having talks with the board every day, but I don't think, like, the walking situation. I think a realistic situation where Marco Silva could have walked is if Muniz left and then we didn't replace him. And that's not me going, he's going to walk because of that. It's more of a case of this would be a reason why he could realistically walk. Play Iwobi in the 8 solves a lot of issues. Absolutely. It solves an issue for sure. I 100% agree. It doesn't solve the issue of the left-hand side, where we'd have no natural left mid in the team. We could play Smith Rowe out there for sure, because Silva's spoke about wanting to get Smith Rowe and King in the same team. And I think that's definitely a way we could do that. We could play Traore on the left-hand side, because I think he played on the left against Brighton for a bit of time, because Wilson was on the right. So it's an option, but if we have that security of another left-sided winger, then that becomes more realistic. Albeit, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised, which would be harsh on Berger and Lukic, because I thought they had okay games, or at least above average games against Brighton, despite giving away a penalty. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Smith Rowe left, either Iwobi in the 8 or on the bench on Sunday, because it's something we've seen in pre-season. Craig Hope has just tweeted something. Tottenham could offer Richarlison as part of the Eberechi Eze deal, and would then move for Brentford's Johan Visser. Interesting. I would like Richarlison, but I just don't see us signing him now that Muniz is staying. Deadline is the 1st at 5 o'clock. Okay, brilliant. Bassi interview now on Sky Sports. Interesting. I'll try and check that out and try and get the quotes for that. Was it the one from like in the summer? Because I remember him doing a piece with Sky Sports in the summer. Let me see if I can try and find it. And usually, if it's on Sky Sports News, then it will be on the website as well. Oh, here we go. My centre back who likes to attack. This came out. Oh yeah, July 15th. So I don't know whether it's the same one. Sorry, I got distracted there, but that was very worth checking out, just in case those quotes were there. But that was from over a month ago. So unless it's a new one, which I'm not aware of. Let's go. Linking onto that person saying we look the worst. I think we got to remember that United game last season where we looked a bit clunky and out of pace. It's too early to say. It was a game that United, we were just sort of it was very much a nearly night for Fulham. We nearly created good opportunities. And the lucky thing about Saturday against Brighton, we had a man to put the ball in the back of the net right in the last minute of the game. If we'd have come away losing 1-0, I think we'd be having very, very different conversations. It's always going to take time, even with the same players we had last season, to sort of bed your way into the season because pre-season, etc. I mean, it depends. Like sometimes you fly off the blocks, like Nottingham Forest did against Brentford, but we were playing a very, very good team in Brighton, and we matched them okay in an okay way on Saturday and got a point. If we go and beat United, I think it's been an excellent start to the season. I think it's been an excellent start to the season. I've seen your comment. I've seen your comment. Josh Brownhill is still a free agent. He can play anywhere in midfield, I believe. 24 goals, assists in the Championship last season. I thought he was going to West Ham, but he's not. So, yeah, Brownhill to the moon. Fantastic. It's a good option. Any news on a left back? Are you happy with Bassi covering this? Well, look, I mean, you have essentially 4 options at left back. Robinson, Sessegnon, who, of course, could still be a wide option for Fulham at the weekend. Let's actually say that Sessegnon's fit and we play Bassi at left back. Whilst I would agree that I think Sessegnon would be the better choice because he gives us more going forward, he then becomes a choice on the wide options as well to play usually on the right-hand side, which he's been playing all of last season when he was involved. In terms of Sessegnon, Robinson, Bassi, and probably Cuenca could play left back as well. I'm more than happy. The only issue is that with Robinson, you, like I said earlier, you get very unique attacking output, and Sessegnon probably the same, but not to that same extent in terms of complete pace and obviously getting up and down. With Bassi, it was very much a case of very good defensively, but going forward, didn't want to commit too much because if we got caught in the break, we'd be in a bit of Michael Trublé. Richard Rios went to Benfica. Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Never mind. Iwobi refused to take anyone on. We're crying out for a winger who can beat a man one-on-one. Nelson is sort of that guy, isn't he? He likes to take on a guy, his man, sorry. And, Iwobi's just got to be a little bit more brave. I think what Iwobi tries to do is he tries to get his man facing up to him, and he won't beat him for pace because he's not blessed with great pace, although he's got great running ability when he's playing down the middle. But it's more of a case of, can I just jink the ball up to my left foot or to my right foot? I think it's usually right foot because he's right-footed, and get the ball into the box. And that's, of course, where the goals against West Ham came from last season, where those crosses, which weren't very good crosses, ended up going in the back of the net. I think Iwobi needs to get more whip on his crosses in order to try and find Raul Jimenez or Rodrigo in the middle. But yeah, it's quite frustrating when you've got a winger very one-dimensional in terms of what Iwobi can offer, albeit he's a great player and he had a great season last season. But when he gets on those one-on-one situations when the ball is slowed down and you've got a man facing up to him, it's quite predictable what he's going to do. Very, very rarely will sort of chuck it through the defender's legs and then run past him and get a ball in. Because right now, especially against Brighton, it just seemed as if it was quite obvious what he was going to do. And Fulham just need a little bit more unpredictability in their attack. I think that was one of the main takeaways from the game. What's your opinion on was it a penalty on King? 100%. I can't believe I didn't even mention it on Jack and Joe. 100% a penalty, to the point where, like, even if the ref doesn't see it, because it was a sort of penalty situation where the chance was sort of gone because the ball got cleared. But it literally, I think that last season or any other referee, upon the replay when you saw it, when it slowed down, he made contact. If VAR have seen that and they've gone, oh, hold on a second, they'd go, I think that's a penalty. 100%. 100%. Grown man in chat making up lies about Silva having showdown talks. Grown man on live stream talking to Fulham fans about transfers. Do you know, the Muffin Man, do you know when Robinson is back on the pitch and possibly us wrapping up in cotton wool for sale? No. It's a case of he'll be ready to play. I reckon probably cautiously after the international break. We're not wrapping him up in cotton wool to sell him. We can't afford to sell him. It'd be ludicrous at this stage. Wasn't saying you were hating on Iwobi. We were just talking about the ones on Twitter. There's a lot of Twitter hate for Iwobi. I've seen that. Are the Darzian Mayenda Celtic rumours credible? Could be a good signing. I haven't seen that whatsoever. Yeah, I have not seen that. If you'd like to send that to me, I would be grateful because I haven't seen that or heard of it. So interesting. Thank you guys for all your comments. I think we're down to the bottom now. Would you believe it? We go over 35 minutes. United looked good, attacking threat in front three. Mount looked excellent. We need to stop letting players run at us and get a shot off unopposed. Am I taking the United performance with a pinch of salt? Slightly. And the reason I say that is big game, Arsenal at home, big rival in terms of just the history of the two teams. Men making their debut, want to make it was an impressive performance where they probably were the better of the two teams. And Arsenal got a goal from a set piece, but they are still susceptible as defenders. A back three of Shaw, who's not a natural centre-back, albeit he's played there quite a lot now. De Ligt, who I thought had a really good game, and Yoro, who I still just don't think is the finished article. Dalot and Dorgu on the other side. Bayindir in goal, who's like the second choice to Onana. I just don't think they've got a very good goalkeeper situation at the moment as well. Mount, I suppose. Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro in midfield, and then Mount and Mbeumo like behind Cunha, and they've got like options of Ahmad off the bench. They've got options of Kobe Mainu, Sesko. It's an okay squad, but their bench was lacking like any sort of firepower apart from like two players, and I'm not completely sold. But some people were coming to the conclusion where like, oh my god, that they were blown away with the performance. We're going to do this and that. It's one game. It's one game which you still lost. We are essentially above you in the league. We got a good result. Our performance wasn't amazing, but I expect first away game of last season, Brighton hosted Man United and they beat them 2-1 off the back of United's morale boosting win over Fulham, where Joshua Zirkzee scored and looked like the second coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm just not getting carried away because, and to quote many a pundit, this is Man United we're talking about. You just don't know what you're going to get with them for the next game, which is why I just don't feel nervous for the game. I feel like if we up our game and give from the start, put them under pressure, I think that they'll wilt under that pressure. I just don't want it to be a trend of the last 3 times where United have come to Craven Cottage, where they've been largely very unimpressive, albeit Fulham were terrible in that game when we lost 1-0, where Lissandro Martinez scored, and they ended up winning the game by a 1-goal margin. Right. Let's move on. Where are we? Okay. I have heard Alex Porto is having showdown talks tomorrow. Okay. I understand the joke. The Championship has some good players that definitely, in my opinion, could step up. Hackney, Hamer, Sakamoto. Well, Hackney turned down Ipswich Town to stay at Borough. And Borough started the season very, very well, apart from a 4-0 defeat to Doncaster. Gus Hamer's always a player that's... Yeah. Do you know what? When someone asked me earlier, would you take an 8? Who would you take as an 8? I think Hamer could be that guy. Brazilian? Or is he like Dutch Brazilian, isn't he? But the thing is, when Hamer was in the Premier League last season with a terrible Sheffield United team, he didn't really impress. And largely the most impressive season we've seen from Hamer, I think I said this in the stream before, was when we saw him in the Championship, which is obviously a division below. Do I think he can come in and do a job? I think he's got a lot of energy, he scores goals, and he's a good set-piece taker and has technical ability, which is brilliant. And Sakamoto is a very good player as well for Coventry. I just don't necessarily think that Sakamoto's going to be an upgrade on what we already have on the wide areas. But nice. Oh, Fulham Boners commented. That's exciting. He's one of my favourite Fulham accounts. Educate me. Does the club ever let us know what they have done with the Mitro Paulinho funds? Do they ever explain why we aren't pushing on the window despite just following short last season? It's the sort of questions that you'd feel that those sort of questions would come up in like a fans forum. With like the board or like Marco Silva and stuff like that, like the allocated, like where do those funds go? Like, are they going back into the transfer kitty, etc., etc. Yeah, it's a question you could put to Marco. If I ask Marco on Friday, do the board ever explain to you why we aren't pushing on this window? He'll be like, great question, because I've wanted these signings for weeks now and they're not here. So yeah, it's going to be another interesting press conference with Marco Silva on Friday. I think we're going to probably see a lot of the same quotes that we saw last week, added on the fact that we're playing Man United. So it's going to be like, United question here and there and everywhere, which is going to be incredibly tedious. I've heard these showdown comments, like the first time was funny, the second is just, we'll move on. Over/under Fulham Bone, here we go. I don't think he's ever commented before. How exciting. Even if Brentford lose 10-0. How many of these Soper Bees tweets are we seeing if Mbeumo scores against us? I don't know who the Soper Bee, I've just realized who the Super Bees are. They're probably an account I have muted on Twitter. If Mbeumo scores, I don't know the account, so I don't know, but I would probably say like 6 or 7. So under 10. Yeah, about 6 or 7 tweets. But again, I wouldn't know because I don't follow his account or know about their account. What's happening with Kevin? He got lost in New York in the second edition. The first film, he got left at home. In terms of Kevin the footballer, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Just found this live randomly. What's the show about? It's about Fulham Football Club transfers and chat and good old-fashioned fun. Christophe Jolis from Club Brugge would be a nice target for left wing. He is very much on Palace's radar. Not sure if he's out of reach. Palace were interested. Yeah, he's like... What was the latest I saw on that from Ornstein yesterday? Yeah, but Jolis was so bad in the Premier League for Norwich, albeit they were terrible. He's maybe one of those players that, like in the Premier League, I hate saying things like he can't cut it in the Premier League, but it's one of those players that he was just terrible for Norwich. That's all I remember. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Fulham Bone. Keep up the good work with your Twitter. He is the guy to follow if you support Fulham, at Fulham Bone on Twitter. Just a remarkably fun account, and I really want to know who he is. Who are you, Fulham Bone? But I also like the intrigue of not knowing. Like I don't know, people behind like FFC Voice, people like White Noise, Fulham Bone. I just don't know who these individuals are, and I find it really fun just to be like. Oh, sorry, I missed just. Do you think Reed and Andreas will leave before the window shuts? I think one of them will. Bring Brendan Aronson in from Fulham America. Bring Brendan Aronson in. Keep Fulham America going. Can play 8 wing attacking midfield. I am not moved by Brendan Aronson at all, and just ask a few Leeds fans why you think that might be. Funny enough, I'm a United fan. Shock. We will meet at the weekend. We will, and I think we'll draw. I think it'll be a good game, and I'm looking forward to it immensely. Thank you very much for stopping by the stream, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, which is good actually because I uploaded my first like video on YouTube since December. So I'm not using just this YouTube channel for live streams. There'll be match reviews on there as well. And actually, it was a match review that also went on Patreon, which was sort of more because I actually had the idea of making a video for Patreon, and I thought, oh shit, I should probably actually, now it's the first game of the season, get that YouTube channel going again. And I thought about editing it down because some of the things I said on that video were like sort of unfiltered. But I thought, oh fuck it, I'll just put it up, and it's been fine. Will TK need the Metro to sell his expensive Man United tickets this year? I don't know what that means. Oh, is it like the Metro, like the paper? I don't know. I don't think TK has anything to do with the Metro. Tony Khan followed me back on Twitter this on Saturday, which was fairly exciting. Oh yeah, Mousehawk just said that. Interesting. How do you feel about Emil Smith-Rowe and King situation? I feel very excited about it. You've got your record signing, who is being benched by the 18-year-old wonder kid, and I find that really fun. I want Smith Rowe to play more. I want him to complete his first 90. Will we see that against Bristol City? That's a tough turnaround, by the way, considering we don't have a massive squad. To play Bristol City in a cup game where Marcus Silva's made it evidently clear that he wants to do well in the cups, to then have the Wednesday night game, which is understandable because we play on the Sunday, and then Thursday, Friday, early kickoff Saturday, not only a game, it's the derby against Chelsea, which means more to the fans than anything. I just wonder what sort of team we're going to see. Will we see Seth Ridgen come in? Will we see Samuel Amissa play, John Asenga? Like, how seriously are we going to take it whilst also taking it seriously? That's going to be a really interesting balance. And I think that's one to put to Marco on the Tuesday. I'm guessing Tuesday morning ahead of the Bristol City game. Looking forward to that. Big week coming up for Fulham. Not only with the deadline looming, but a couple of games and then obviously the derby in just over a week. So yeah, loads to look forward to. Are you dropping the first DM to TK now he's following? Look, I saw him follow me back and I was like, oh my God, this is like the pathways there to DM him. But going in like a bull in a china shop is just unprofessional. So it's a tricky one with that sort of situation. For now, I'll just sort of keep myself to myself. And if he approaches me, then hey, well, I'll be the first to pick up the phone and reply. Anything linking Fulham to a midfielder? Seems to have gone quiet since the Douglas Luiz links died down. Yeah, it's what we've been talking about on the stream so far. The lack of midfield options links to midfielders is worrying. But it's one to put to Silva, I think, at the weekend. You know, are you happy with your midfield? If one leaves, as we mentioned, just further up the comments, if one leaves, where does that leave the midfield in terms of depth? We've got Seth Ridgen coming through, who obviously is not first team ready, in my opinion, but could make an appearance, like I said, against Bristol City. I think this is an interesting question, and I think that's one that Marcus Silva will be knocking on the board's door and saying, by the way, guys, we need a number 8, like, you know, as a Lukic replacement, Berger replacement, you know, ideally a midfielder who can play 6 and 8 as well. So it just gives two sort of positions to cover. Jolis was extremely young for Norwich. I agree. In the Premier League, in all fairness, I think he was 19. He was like the next big thing, and then it happens a lot actually, where a player comes into the Premier League, isn't good enough, goes away, does really well, comes back. If he signs with Palace, that's a good signing. Fulham should buy Bilal El Khanous from Leicester, Crystal Palace, Nottingham, I think. So technical, great vision, good passing actually. I'm not moved by El Khanous in the slightest. And again, it could be that sort of tax of like bias of where he was in a really poor Premier League team. I think he's a good player. And if that's the Eze replacement, then I would be incredibly underwhelmed if I was a Palace fan. Eze is apparently going to play tomorrow, which is exciting because I want to see him play. But yeah, I don't think Fulham would go near that sort of deal. And El Khanous is more of a 10, isn't he, as well? So we've already got 2 in Emil Smith-Rowe and Josh King. Wouldn't mind getting more wingers and moving Iwobi into midfield. And I think that is obviously something that we could do. That's something we could do. And actually, would that then be a case of we don't need an 8 because we're going to buy 2 wingers on the left-hand side who are going to be the 2 wingers on the left-hand side, obviously. And then your 8 is Iwobi. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, yeah. Do you see the deal for Kevin getting done or no? At this stage, I just can't tell. I need an update from someone. And I heard a whisper earlier about something, but I'm not going with it or not sort of taking it too seriously at this stage. But I think this time tomorrow or this time on Friday, I think we're going to have a better understanding of the situation. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, dude, is Fulham going to sign anyone or just re-sign Muniz? We will see, mate. We will see. Let's hope we sign someone. What's up with Bashy's shorts? He could trip over if he can go any lower. That was quite funny, wasn't it? I think it was the fact that that kit is meant to have navy shorts. So the fact we were playing in all green, maybe he just got the wrong size that day. Because I don't think we'll be playing in all green too often this season. Do you see any more of the youngsters going out on loan? Yes. I think a few of them need a loan to be first team ready. Yeah, I think there's a few that definitely could go out on loan. The under 21 and under 18 situation is really like confusing because it's like you can bring up the 18s into the 21s if you're lacking depth. I don't really know where I was going with that point, but I think there will, to answer your question, I think there'll be a couple that go out on loan. God, we've been going for 50 minutes. That is flew by. I'm starving. Bloody hell. Do you think Hermanson is suffering from areola syndrome? I've never heard of areola syndrome ever, where you look amazing in a team that's getting peppered with shots, but when you have to be relied on, it falls apart. I think Hermanson made a really good save against Diarra's shot in the first half for Sunderland, right? Or for West Ham. The first goal he probably should have saved. It's right in the corner. It's a slow-moving ball, but I think he should have saved it. It's easy for me to say. I'm not a keeper. Second one, great header. Third one, great finish. I think Hermanson playing over Areola. Was Areola even injured? Because I would prefer to play Areola 100%. 100%. I would prefer to Areola over Hermanson, but they paid a lot of money for Hermanson, so they're obviously going to believe in him and trust the process in him. Yeah. Who do you want to sign? Kevin. It's so like, who do you want to sign? Like, I just want to sign someone or 2 or 3 players that are going to upgrade the team and that Marcus Silva knows and trusts and likes. That's who I want to sign. Do Fulham have any PSR issues due to the lack of signings, or is it lack of funds? It's neither, which is a very it's actually neither. Do you know what I mean? Why don't Fulham try a loan for Romeo Lavia? I know it's kind of unrealistic, but I think the move suits him. I think he's injured. I think he's completely injured right now, and his stock has just completely fallen, hasn't it? I mean, it'd be an interesting move, but I think when back, he'd be probably part of Chelsea's plans. Asenga ability-wise, I think Asenga could be one of those ones that goes out on loan. The real O who commented that. Looks great, but he looks very cautious and nervous in pre-season. I think a loan would sort that out. Yeah, this comment came up a couple of streams ago. I agree. I think we just need to get more clarification on the left-back situation before we start loaning out players like Asenga, because he genuinely could be needed for this season. You never know. Again, that's a 5th left-back option. So maybe that's why left-back is not the position we're looking at too big a detail. I really hope Robertson comes back and starts hitting it from the ground running. I think he's back on the grass. I think he's back in training, but he's just a couple of weeks behind because he had pre-season. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to have a drink of water. Anderson looked really, really good. He did. That is encouraging. I think the conversation may have dried up a little bit, which is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. It's not a stream where there's suddenly big rumor. Let's talk about this player. It's more of a stream of quite a lot has happened in terms of just bits and bobs today. I'll let you into a little secret. Today I was planning on working probably finishing up at 4:30, and suddenly all these rumors came in, and I was like, shit, I need to book Newcastle as well. And I looked at Bournemouth, but I'm not going to go with it yet because I think the trains still need to come on sale. Book Newcastle, which is great. Looking forward to that. The Arsenal game could still move. I don't think it will, but it could still move. The Villa game will probably move. In fact, almost 99% chance it moves to the Sunday, so I haven't booked that yet. And passes in for Manchester United at home, Bristol City at home next week as well. I'll plug my work just before we go, because actually I've switched things around a little bit on Patreon this year. Much more written work is going up there from a proper journalist. I do a lot of videos and a lot of reaction stuff, but I've really enjoyed writing, especially this week. So I've put up a couple of pieces, and one went up on Fulhamish as well last week as well. Lots of written content as well as reaction content and match day content, press conference content as well. So loads of stuff to get your teeth stuck into. I've said that twice now. £5 a month. It might even be less. I've accidentally made a mistake. No, I'm not doing Substack because Patreon is just easier. I do Substack for Fulhamish, and Patreon is just much, much easier. Plus, with Patreon, you get a more variety of content. If I start doing Substack, then suddenly you're limited in what you're doing. And whilst I like the platform Substack, it just doesn't suit my style, which is more, as you can literally watch right now, more presenting, more video. And then also follow me on TikTok. Loads of TikToks going up from myself right now. At Sleeper Fulham, as in sleeper, as in you're on a sleeper train. SleeperFulham, all one word. Sleeper Fulham. I've almost got like 800 followers on there, which is pretty fun. TikTok's really like blowing up. That's really good fun. I'm part of the Finalysis starting 11, which is really cool. I believe, like, because we're playing United this week, I'd expect maybe them to want some sort of Fulham preview or reaction to the game, given it's the big one on Sky. I don't know if you watch Monday Night on Football, but they use some data from Finalysis, which I'm a part of, which is really, really exciting. And yeah, so like loads of different projects going on this year, plus Fulhamish, plus Jack Kelly on the Fulham Beat. A new podcast will drop on Friday from West London Sport, and that will have some reaction from Marco Silva, as well as a preview towards Man United. And obviously you've got, Fulhamish, you've got Thursday Club. I think I'm on Thursday Club next week, post Bristol City. So yeah, I mean, it's a busy time to be a journalist covering Fulham FC. Just busy apart from reporting on signings, which is the only thing that hasn't really been happening this summer. Season expectations. Where do you finish? Where do you finish for it to be? Or where do we finish? I think like top 10 would be a massive success. I just, at this moment in time, just don't see us finishing top 10. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I think between 10th and 13th with a really good cup run, hopefully a semi-final or a final would be fantastic. Mouse Talk, that's basically the same question. So that's what I think. Thing is about Robinson, he made the bench for one of the preseason games, but obviously didn't feature. It was Charlie Robinson. It wasn't. It was against Forest, wasn't it? It wasn't Anthony Robinson. I believe it was Charlie Robinson. Actually, was it? I think it was. You know what? I might have to get that checked. Don't quote me on that. Excuse me. Fulham should explore the loan market as another option to bring in players. I think we are. I think we have. Chukwueze, I don't know if that was satire, because we've had Chukwueze, Sterling, and Nelson all looking at loans in the last few weeks. Yeah, like I said, Patreon is it's for me what works. £5 a month. The link is literally below the stream on YouTube right now, and it's good fun. The Isaac statement is kind of crazy, especially Newcastle responding to it and basically saying you are not leaving. Yeah, it was crazy. The silly season, and it's getting out of hand, isn't it? It's getting out of hand. Thank God we didn't see a situation like that with Rodrigo Muniz, who, look, I understand he was keen on the move and obviously wanted to play Champions League football, but he didn't start, blacking out his social media like this has done, forcing a move, refusing to train, refusing to play. We're lucky to have a good egg in Rodrigo Muniz, and some of these players. Honestly, I would just, my head would be. If I was a Newcastle fan right now, my head would be like on a different stratosphere, and Brentford as well, like just completely disgraceful. What do you think are the biggest positives and negatives for waiting so long in the transfer market? Positives are you can get. What are the positives and negatives? Positives are you can get. When the clubs are a little bit more like, okay, shit, we need to get rid of this player. Let's do it for a cheaper deal. Negatives are stuff like this, like complete and utter frustration, apathy from fans and manager. Is Kevin Dill almost there? I don't know, mate. I wish I could tell you. Chances we get Sterling, King, maybe is an 8. Chances we get Sterling, King, maybe. Chances we get Sterling, King, maybe an 8 before the window closes. Well, King's here. King is here and he's perfect. Sterling is unlikely. I just don't think it's going to happen. And if it does, it will be right on the deadline. And an 8, yeah, there's an 8 conversation to be had for sure. No, Jack, I meant personal goals for you, like get on TV or interview certain players. Yeah, personal goals in terms of this season. I want to interview some Fulham players, some youngsters. I'd like to have a one-on-one with Marco Silva outside of a press conference as well, which would be great. That's personal goals. Do I want to get on like this? I hate the sort of the ways in which people act to get on TV these days in the football space. I mean, I was reading today Mark Goldbridge is hosting Bundesliga games on his YouTube channel. Look, good on him because he's been doing it for years, whatever. I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but it's like this like over sensationalized gesticulations, like way of like reacting to things that suddenly, because it's the way of the world and people like that sort of thing to engage in their content, it's just not my style. Like imagine if I just sat here and started shouting the odds about X, Y, and Z, which had no substance behind it at all. Would it be more engaging? No, it'd probably be really irritating. It'd probably be. That's not saying that I've never shouted in my life before making content or like reacting to something, but it's very much in the moment. Like it's after a game or it's like to a goal or whatever. I mean, that's just normal stuff. But I'm scrolling through TikTok sometimes. I'm looking at YouTube sometimes, and it's just like, just stop shouting. There's nothing to shout about. Certainly Fulham have got nothing to shout about in terms of the transfer window right now. Oh, loads of comments. Sorry, I thought we were going to end this. Never mind. Oh, well. Sorry, Kevin, not King. Don't worry about it. Yeah, look, Kevin is, like I said a few times, I ain't got a Scooby-Doo what's going on with Kevin at the moment. It was the Saudis team, can't spell it. Al Ittihad. I don't think he was on the bench for Al Ittihad, but I'll double check it. As he's on the team sheet for the first half, but not on it for the second half. I don't remember. A lot's happened since then. Fulham ever come back for a pre-season in USA? Fulham ever comes back? I see. Fulham ever comes back for a pre-season in USA and you're still in your current role? Is it unethical to receive pints from admirers of your work? No, it is not. I think that would be fine. In fact, the plan is, if I let you into a little secret, obviously the summer series came too early before I was even a journalist for Fulham. In fact, before I was really even a proper journalist for Haters. That came too early. The plan is, because of the World Cup this year, it obviously depends on preseason, but there is a scenario in my head where I think I might want to go to the US for either a bit of the World Cup or if Fulham are there for preseason, which you never know. And if I am, then I will let you know, Steve, and we can have a pint or two or three or four or five, which sounds fantastic. What are your thoughts on the interest in Højlund? Oh, this is interesting because I had one journalist said it was not real. I then heard it was real, and the only thing that's real is Real Madrid. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't necessarily think. I read earlier that AC Milan are not going with it. Oh, now just 10 minutes ago, Napoli pushing to sign Højlund, according to Sky Italy. I think actually that is a good point to make. When people say like slow sports news in terms of Sky's updates on Fulham, whilst I agree with that, I actually think they're more quicker. They are quicker with the bigger teams, of course. So yeah, Sterling is on a big monthly salary. Even if Fulham recruit him, do Chelsea pay? I just don't even think this is even worth talking about. Right? The tweet is, and I don't want to be disrespectful to you. I'm not Michael because I appreciate you commenting, right? But the tweet was, Fulham are considering making a move to sign Raheem Sterling from Chelsea, but a deal appears unlikely at the moment. So it's essentially like a complete nothing. It wasn't even me worth tweeting, was it? But here we are. Thank you all so much for your comments. We've been going for an hour. I have vegetarian chili con carne to eat tonight, which is great. And then I'm at Palace tomorrow, just as a neutral. My cousin's got a spare. Friday press conference, Saturday wall-to-wall football, and Sunday, and then there'll be embargoed content, of course. And then Sunday, the game. So there's been a Brazilian outlet called Bola Veep, who have said that Andreas Pereira is a priority for them. The top priority for... I should say the club. Palmeiras. Pereira is a top priority for Palmeiras. I do think this is a bit of a goer. I do think there's some legs in this. That's all I'll say on it. I'm not going to start putting out tweets because it's just not worth it. Yes. So AP, watch this space for sure, and I think I'll end it there. There's a couple more comments just to get through. You got to come to the Durrell or the Brown Cow with us. Jack. Now, is the Durrell the one in Fulham? I was there last week doing a podcast. You got to come to the Durrell or Brown Cow. I don't know where the Brown... Is this in America or is it in London? Do Fulham have a women's team, given the growth of the women's game? They do. And they're playing at the Cottage on the 31st of August. I don't necessarily think I can make it to that game. I think I've got other plans with my other half. So I don't know if I can make it, but I'm going to be trying to cover more women's games this year. Claire Green, who is the chair of the Fulham Women's Supporters Club, is your go-to person when it comes to the Fulham women's team. And also it's on a Sunday. They usually play on a Sunday, which is usually my day of rest. I want to cover them all, but like I can't be in. I've got to give myself some time off, especially after traveling back from Newcastle or Bournemouth or wherever it's going to be. Swap Rios for AP. That little glitch that comes up every time someone puts the ampersand. With your role as a journalist, do you go to every Fulham away game? I do. Even 2 I missed last season because there was no space in the press box. Was Arsenal and Spurs, and I still went as a fan, which was fun. And we got 2 points from... No, sorry, we got 1 point from those 2 games. I missed the Muniz goal at Arsenal because I left early. See, that was poor from me. Yeah. I went to the Durrell last week. I'm usually in the Durrell like if I'm drinking or like in the Hammersmith end like I used to be. I went to the Durrell 2 or 3 times a season. I've never been to the Brown Cow, which sounds fun. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me rattle on about FFC. Subscribe to Patreon. Follow me on TikTok. Look out for Finalysis stuff. Hopefully get to do some stuff with them soon, which is in association with Sky Sports, which is really, 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 really fun. Take care. Thank you so much for watching, and come on, Fulham.